Hello, welcome back. My name is Wachowski. If you're new here, I really like Salmon Run. So this video has come out a bit quicker than normally, just because this rotation is so interesting, and I've had a lot of feedback from people saying that they're struggling. So I played this as soon as the rotation went live. It is spawning grounds with Dynamo Roller, Ballpoint Splatling, Dapple Dualies and Bamboo. So on the surface, it looks extremely difficult but powerful. One of the main things I love about this rotation is the pure power you have in 3 of the weapons. The Bamboo has decent things about it, but it's not as powerful as the Dynamo, the Dapples and the Ballpoint. So I want to show you the first 3 games of the rotation for me. All 3 are wins. I will show you some outtakes at the end where I did not win. But immediately I get given the Dapple Dualies and I run straight into a stinger, because as the Dapples you want to be aggressive and you also need to kill everything on sight. You have the power and the mobility to do that. You know, you can take a lot of risks with this weapon. Don't overextend and die often, but you want to be the one that does most of the killing for your team because you are so quick. Maybe not on stillheads, maybe leave them for your teammates, but lessers, drizzlers, stingers, steelheads, scrappers, everything basically. Flipper floppers here, I can paint so quickly for my team, and you know they can take care of that really quickly. So immediately within the first half of the game I'm running around like a maniac killing everything. Unfortunately, one of the downsides about the Dapple Dualies is the range is not great. So I missed the steelhead on the first cycle, and I managed to get it on the second cycle so I can go for the stinger. I wouldn't play like this with nearly any other weapon. I think the only other weapon I would play like this with is the sploosh, because it more or less does the same thing. You can only really get away with it with this weapon as well. Just running in like a lunatic and shooting and killing everything on sight, which I recommend you do as the Dapples. Just try not to die. Just don't overextend. People think they're invincible when they have the Dapples, and you are to a certain extent. You know, you can kill everything very quickly, but just, understand the limitations of your role. Like going up against that steelhead was a bit risky because I missed it on the first cycle. I could have got overwhelmed, but I was able to take it out on the second cycle because I had a bit of ground on it. Like I had some higher ground. So now showing you the complete opposite of the Dapples in a way is the Dynamo, which is extremely slow. So at the beginning of this high tide, I see a drizzler spawning on the far end of the map over on the grates, and I tell you what, as a Dynamo, just don't go over there. Just don't, because you've got no ink to recover. You're so vulnerable as this slow weapon. Just stay by basket. One of the nice things about the next wave is that you can, with the right movements, take down stingers the way that I'm trying to do. I don't quite get it, but you can. It is possible, but you have to be at the right angle for it. So that was just me testing it. A piece of advice that I would give as a Dynamo is when you shoot your shot, whether it's a horizontal or a vertical flick, it doesn't matter. Make sure that you extend that shot. So what I'm saying is, when you're about to shoot like this, I don't come out of roller form for quite some time, because the Dynamo is most powerful when it is rolling, right? But I do notice I'm overwhelmed here. 2 of my teammates are down. And as a Dynamo, you will struggle with scrappers like that. They will just bounce you into the water. Unfortunate death there, but thankfully my teammates survive and res me. You know, the one guy with a crab, thankfully. That stinger caused me to die because I zoned in on it, neglecting the scrapper behind me. So, watching this back, I can see the mistakes that I make there, and that could have easily cost us the wipe. But you can see every time I flick with a Dynamo, I extend the use of my weapon by rolling with it, whether it's to crush everything in sight, like all these lessers, or to include other boss kills in it, or to turf, or to run eggs. That's the best way to use this weapon. That's the way you get the most out of it. Repeatedly flicking the Dynamo is not how to use it in Salmon Run, which I know is very different from PvP. Now we come over to the Bamboo, which is an entirely different weapon again. It doesn't paint very well. You can see me here trying to paint, and I'm like, The Bamboo paints efficiently. It's got decent power. It's got excellent range. and it can assist here with extra help with boss killing and lesser killing and stuff like that. My teammates here are doing a really good job of killing everything, so I'm keeping an eye on what's spawning. Managed to bring a scrapper to basket. My advice, if you want to lure, is to be ahead of the spawns. If all 3 of your teammates are concentrating on one boss and you see another boss coming from the other side of the map, just lure that boss. But it's extremely situational. I've spoke about this in my other videos. It doesn't always work. So for most of this wave, I concentrate on stingers. Bamboo is very, very efficient at killing stingers. You don't need to fully charge your shot to take down a pot of a stinger. But I back off here a little bit because I can see my 2 teammates die. So I make sure I res them, but I'm safe. I actually get bullied here a little bit. Realistically, I should have climbed that stick to get to safety, but I don't. I run over here because I see a snatcher with some eggs and I want to go get one. But then the rain gets me, the missiles get me, the stingers almost get me, and I kind of panic booyah here. Mostly because I think I was going to die because of the steel eel, but also just to help revive my teammates. And then it's at this point that I see that quota has been met. So you know what I do? I run away. I revive my teammate and I run away. There's no point. It's wave 3. I've used both my specials. We've got quota. Who cares? So the last wave of this game, I play, quite safe. I avoid dying. You want to be the one that survives your matches. Low tide on spawning grounds is a lot better than mid and high tide. So it is nice to get that. But yeah, just ensure your safety. Just ensure you're doing things to help your team there. I was just sort of taking care of lessers and assisting with boss kills and going after stingers, because your Ballpoint and your Dynamo will have a very hard time dealing with stingers in both like trying to take them down or trying to avoid the stingray, right? So the best thing you can do is help them. I was able to mostly keep my teammates safe by getting rid of some stingers for them. So yeah, it's a decent first wave. There's nothing extraordinary there. It's just, showing the different ways that I use different weapons and, understanding the limitations of them and trying to give you guys some insight into the way that my brain works when I play this game. Because none of them are simple. They all require to be used very, very differently. Dynamo is a very slow, patient, killing machine essentially, but the Dapples, while it also is a killing machine, you can be a lot more aggressive with it. The Bamboo, you need to sort of hang back and abuse its range and abuse the fact that you've got a quick charge and it can sort of snipe things. The Ballpoint is excellent as well because it does so much damage and you have the short range and the long range, and you can move really well for a Ballpoint. Compared to other Splatlings, the mobility on the Ballpoint is excellent and it's worth using or abusing that mechanic and having a lot more mobility. So here we are in the second game, and I get the Bamboo to start with. We get low tide again, which is nice, And I'm testing out the painting here on the Bamboo because I don't think I've played much Bamboo in Splatoon 3 in the next wave, so I was like kind of testing out this painting, kind of messing about a bit. But see a fish stick, I paint it for my teammate, who then doesn't decide to go for it, so I go for it. You can reach it, so I get rid of it mostly. And then I can see an eel which is aggroed to me, so I'm like, what do I do? What do I do here? And I'm like, I'll run away. When you get to the top of the stick, the eel de-aggroes for you. You have to touch the top of the platform on the stick. So it's okay to run away and de-aggro spawns. So like as soon as you touch that top of the stick, that eel will then go for someone else. So that's what I did, but my teammates effectively killed that eel before it became a problem anyway, which is good. So again, as a Ballpoint, I'm just here assisting my teammates and going for kills. Still head kills, very important as a Ballpoint. You've got the range. It's a 2-shot kill, and I get the area of explosion on the eel as well, so I get the double kill with 1 cycle. We have decent spawns here as well, so there's not much to like complain about. There's not like a abuse of fly fish, stingray, and big shots here, so it's kind of nice. I kind of get annoyed by this fish stick, so I decide to go for it. Even though quota's met, we're kind of comfortable at this point, so I just decide to play safe from this point. Unfortunately, I missed that kill on the steelhead because I'm a little bit too far away. I try to go for it again, and I get smacked by a chum and miss it. unfortunate. But that's like a really good example how you can't count on anybody else to get kills for you, right? I'm not here to the players. I'm gonna have to bleep that out because YouTube is mad about swear words. I'm not here to talk bad about other players. I'm talking about like how you should view the game. That stillhead, don't depend on your teammates to kill that stillhead. There was 3 cycles there that it could have been taken care of, but it wasn't. And that will cause an issue around basket because the stillhead explosion takes up so much turf, and that's just the way things that can snowball really, really quickly. Dynamo is not the best painter in a way because you use up so much ink, so I had to paint the wall there, you know, to ensure my own safety as well. Again, you can't depend on your teammates to do too much. It's nice when they do stuff for you, but it's not. So I stun that scrapper, so it's aggro to me, but then I see 2 flyfish and I want to go for them. I managed to cripple one, get rid of a basket on one. But then, like I'm saying to you, you can't depend on your teammates to help you. I this wayed so that and stun that scrapper so that my teammates who were behind the scrapper can take care of it, but they didn't. I was able to get the flyfish kill, but I almost got killed doing so. So I run some few eggs here because there's no place for a Dynamo to sit here. And I crab here, and in retrospect, when I watch this back, I'm like, why did I crab? And I think it's because the scrapper was griefing me. And scrappers can be really annoying to a Dynamo, and you could see me struggling with them. And if I could play this game again, I wouldn't aggro the scrappers the way that I'm aggroing them here, because I almost die here. I play quite carelessly here. But I leave the basket area to get some safety and stun the scrappers again because, again, my teammates haven't taken care of them. And, that could very much have caused us to not pass this wave at that point. And it's only in the last 5 seconds that we make quota. So I understand when people say they don't like Dynamo because it can be difficult when the spawns are like that. There were stingers, flyfish, and scrappers. They're not good for Dynamo, but you have to find a way to make it work. You have to this way. You saw me this way a few times. It's difficult. I would just recommend don't aggro too many scrappers towards you. Okay, so we get the big shot as the first spawn, and I just run down there as the Dapples. You'll see me when I play Dapples. I don't often dodge roll because for me personally, some other people might disagree with this. Me personally, I want ink over damage. So what I mean by that is I would rather have ink in my tank than going for quicker kills. I would rather the safety of not depleting my ink as quickly when you use dodge rolls. That's just a personal way that I play. There isn't one right way. I feel safer that way. It allows me to take more risks. And you do so much damage with the Dapples anyway that personally I don't feel like it makes such a difference. The only time I would recommend that you absolutely have to dodge roll is for things like Kohazunas, big shots, etc. Things that you want to put targeted damage on as quick and as much as you can. So I deal with the fish sticks because the fish sticks there are increasingly problematic for my Ballpoint, Bamboo and Dynamo. I see a big shot spawning, but I'm more concerned with quota and keeping basket. None of my teammates are at basket here, as you can see. They're all sort of, one is, but they're all sort of running around and not bringing anything to basket. So for me, the important thing that I noticed at this point is my teammates are off killing bosses somewhere, but nobody is running eggs. Nobody is luring bosses to basket. So that's what I do. I lure a Moors, I lure a Flipper, Flopper, and I'm able to meet quota, and we're able to safely, make it. An important thing about Freelance is adapting to the role of the weapon and your teammates. Nice crab. So for me, noticing that my teammates were out killing, successfully or not, it doesn't really matter. What I noticed is that they're not by basket. And because they're not by basket, I filled that role for them. I could have easily run off to kill a stinger there. I could have easily run off to kill a big shot or a fly fish. But for me, adapting to your teammates, I think is one of the most important skills that you can learn in Freelance. And it's one of the ways to dramatically improve your Freelance outcomes. It doesn't matter about boss kills or who runs the most eggs. It's about passing, right? It's about staying alive. So yeah, I just hung by basket and ran some eggs and killed some bosses at basket. The next game is coming up. I just like to take a little break in between my freelance runs, because another thing that I really like about freelance is meeting as many different players as possible so that I have an authentic freelance experience. So if you ever meet me in a lobby and I leave, it's not because I didn't like you. It's because I want different lobbies each time. So it forces me to adapt to different players. It forces me to see different players and, improve myself. I don't compare myself to other players, but I work around other players. So yeah, it's nothing personal. I just like the spice of freelance. Alright, so game 3 is an interesting one. I will spoil it already. It's got rush in it, and I think it's important to see how good a rush can be when you have Dynamo. Saying that, I did lose a rush not long after this game when I had Dynamo, so we all make mistakes. So I get the ballpoint, which is great, and the ballpoint paints so well as well. Like, I remember playing this and just thinking like, wow, I'm so impressed for a Splatling that moves so well, paints so well, and puts up so much damage so much quickly. Although I will admit that it took me a while to understand the ballpoint. It's got a high skill ceiling, and it's not the easiest weapon to get to grips with. Definitely took me a long time to fully understand and realize its capabilities. So as you can see with the ballpoint, I'm always sort of stood back because of its long range. And then when I need to use it short range, I'm there abusing it short range. I was able to lure a scrapper to basket because my teammates weren't watching. So that's more proof that you just lure when you're able to. I see a lot of things come into basket, so I dip and I go for the steelhead and use the short range of the Splatling here. And then help with the flipper flopper with the long range. Ballpoint is a weapon you need to practice with to fully understand how to use it. I was so bad with it when I first started playing Salmon Run when Ballpoint was released. I couldn't stand it. It was much like the Hydra. I used to just avoid rotations that had these weapons in, and then it took me realizing, hey, you're not going to get better with these weapons if you just avoid playing with them. So this is a pretty comfortable first wave. There's nothing crazy that happens. I hang by basket quite a lot. I can see my Dynamo over here as well, struggling with the fly fish and the stinger, so I go and help him. I go finish the job up for him. Able to run one more egg, and then, yeah, we're comfortably over quota, and it's wave 2, and I'm just carrying on painting. Please paint in between waves if you've got time. That wall might save your ass. So yeah, we have rush now. Dapples and Dynamo in one rotor with rush is insane. Like, it's just absolutely insane. You guys should not be dying, right? I know that's easier said than done. But you can see my Dynamo here knows what they're doing. But unfortunately, the randos, they want to hang on the wall because that's what a lot of people think you have to do. And it's not true. You don't do that. You only do it as sort of like a fail-safe. If you're needing ink, you can see me and my rando spamming this way here. Finally, the aggro changes to me, and I do what the Dynamo wants me to do, which is stand here and support them. So I stand behind basket. All the chum and the goldies are now rushing the Dynamo, and the Dynamo is just sweeping them up. Unfortunately, again, when the aggro comes off me, the other two teammates love to run around. What I would recommend is to always be conscious of how long it is in between times of aggro change, and to always be aware that when you're running for an egg, that the aggro can change to you very, very quickly. So it is important to just be mindful of this, right? So I'm just here, and I go down for what I think is an egg, but apparently my teammate has already picked it up. I see two players go down, and I immediately booyah. Booyah is actually a really clutch special for rush, because you can hold it in the air and have everything come to you, which is what I did. I held the booyah for a little bit longer so that all my teammates became lifesavers. I was able to revive them and kill everything around me. You can see how quickly rush can go wrong. One player making one mistake caused 3 of my teammates to perish. It was only because I had booyah that I used it quickly that we were able to survive there. Even the Dynamo is taken out. The Dynamo is so good But unfortunately in the next wave, rush is bad, and sometimes chum will just fly at you from all angles. So you really need to still support your dynamo and to ensure that the chum are coming at them correctly and that you're not running around like a headless chicken. So yeah, this is the last wave. I get dynamo again for high tide, which is good because I want to show you guys how to use dynamo on high tides. And like I mentioned before, once I flick with the dynamo, I continue to roll. And I think it's really important. When you roll with the dynamo, if you stand still, you will not deplete your ink tank. Also, I don't know if you noticed that, I this wayed to my teammate to take care of the fish stick, and whilst they were doing that, I swept up the chum to protect them. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that's like efficient teamwork, and that's how I feel like everybody should be supporting their randos here. Unfortunately, I die here because of some weird lag and hitboxes with the eel, but thankfully my teammate's using an ink jet and comes in clutch. And I wake up, I come back, and I start mowing things over again. Thankfully that eel aggro wasn't on me, so I'm able to get round it. What I was saying about the dynamo is if you stand still with it when you've attacked with it and you're rolling, you will replenish ink if you stand still and don't move. I this way to my teammate for them to take care of the slamming lid. I forgot the name of that for a moment. Unfortunately they don't. So I suicide here, which isn't the best thing to do. I didn't see the one chum there, unfortunately. Thankfully, my teammate is able to survive and we're able to pass the wave. I had a couple of unfortunate deaths in there, which is, you know, it's bound to happen as a dynamo because, again, you can just get knocked by anything. The bounce back is so harsh. But yeah, I hope that helps. I showed you 3 games from EVP 40 to EVP 100 because I'm hearing quite a lot lately that low EVP is difficult. Because it's filled with people that may not be comfortable with EVP yet. So you get a lot of people that rank up and then rank down and so forth. So I wanted to show you my perspective of playing a few games at EVP 40 up to 100. I'm also going to show you some clips of me failing because I don't like the idea that I'm only showing you my wins. So yeah, enjoy the next lot of clips because they're all from the same run, not long after it, and I figured, you know, it's a bit of fun and I can show you how bad it is. And if you like it, you should come and watch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Wachowski, where I always embarrass myself and I never pronounce words properly and my entire chat roasts me all the time. So if you like that, come and say hello. So I want to show you this stupid clip of me. I don't know what I was trying to do, but I reefed. I killed myself, and it's by some good grace of mercy that another teammate manages to survive and revive us all. I almost threw a match. For what? We had quota. I should have just backed off. The worst bit about the first clip is that immediately in the extra wave I make the exact same mistake. I mean, admittedly, the chum pushed me, but you can see me feeding the Kohazuna here. Not once, twice, and then we lose. So, yeah, don't die, guys. Don't. And then other times the game will just spite you with one of its ridiculous bugs that should have been patched out by now. But hello, we're still dying to janky scrapper spawns. I'm gonna finish off with this clip. It's heartbreaking, honestly, guys. But I really wanted to include it to show you that rush sucks. I mean, I didn't need to convince you of that. But I wanted to show you what happens when you're the dynamo and you still can't pass it. You know, I'm not here to blame my teammates. You know, they don't know any better, I guess. It's just so frustrating to watch this playback because you can see when the aggro is on me, it goes so well. Right? I'm just chilling at basket, holding forward when I have to, replenishing my ink when I have to, and yet every time the aggro is not on me, trouble is afoot. I try my best here. It's really just the fault of the game mode rather than any particular player. It's just not a good game mode. Please just get rid of it. Please, Splatoon 3, get rid of it, please. I don't want to keep dying like this. It's so heartbreaking. Get rid of this game. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in another video very soon.